Kyle Deschanel, The Rothschild Who Wasn't, Part 3. Anyone seeking hard intel on Kyle Deschanel found the website of Oot Capital Partners. We leverage deep global relationships, including in Asia and the Middle East, to source proprietary strategic and investment opportunities for our family office and select clients, it said, listing an address on K Street in Washington, D.C. According to records, Oot was legally incorporated in Delaware in 2018 by a Rockland County-based man named Joseph Meyer Stern, who goes by Erna. He had previously worked for a New York pharmaceutical company called Medwith Solutions and got his broker's license in 2019. Stern was a FINRA-registered broker-dealer, but struggled a bit in the first year to convert capital to deals, striking modest paydays mostly when he was able to connect with startups abroad. In 2019, Kyle Deschanel reached out to Stern through a mutual friend, looking to put together some funds for an investment. The deal fell apart, but Stern saw potential. He gave off the impression that he was an ultra-wealthy individual with a deep Rolodex of influential people, and these were contacts that would only come from a person with status, Stern said in a statement provided by his spokesperson. A person who works in finance, who we'll call Brian, and knew Deschanel socially, said that family offices, the kind of which Deschanel claimed to represent, are particularly alluring in fundraising. That's the golden goose, because raising capital from an institution, you've got investment committees, he said. If you're trying to raise money and you find out that there is a brand new family office with a couple of $1 billion that are just sitting there to be taken, you're taking him to dinners, you're taking him to shows, you're taking him to concerts, you're taking him to clubs, you're wooing him. Deschanel summed up his targets in an Instagram mention to Evans after casually mentioning that he was working on buying a piece of Twitter with Elon. Character trait acquisition. Post. He was texting in May 2022, weeks after Musk made public his desire to own Twitter, and perhaps that man's unbridled ambition was rubbing off on Deschanel. He described his mission at Oot thusly: late-stage venture and unicorns, essentially private companies worth over $1 billion. According to a 2023 SEC filing, Oot had $67 million in assets under management. By 2021, at least in the very specific circles in which Wall Street and New York nightlife overlap. That December, he emailed a business acquaintance from his Oot account asking him to look at a term sheet and an investor deck for Axiomatic, an esports venture that, amongst other investment opportunities, could leverage the perceived value of its gaming platform, Team Liquid. The spun-off Team Liquid could either be acquired or prepare an IPO in 18 to 24 months. The minimum buy-in was $2 million. The returns would be up to 3 times that. The investments would be deposited into a special-purpose vehicle incorporated by Oot called Red Shield Investment 11 LLC. Isaac Elkanan, the 16th century Rothschild ancestor whose dwelling gave the clan its name, lived in a building in the Frankfurt Judengasse called Haus zum Roten Schild, House of the Red Shield. A source sent me a screenshot of a text conversation between Deschanel and a potential investor in the deal, a person in banking who was dating a woman who ran membership at a very desirable private club. Do you know anyone who will lend me 10 to 40 million bucks for 2 weeks? Need to fund my deal and our capital doesn't free up until January, Deschanel wrote. I'll give you lots of monies. Possibly, but what is my pitch? The potential investor responded. We are a family office buying 10% of a company called Axiomatic. We've already invested 30, and the company wants their remaining 40 this year. Our equity bucket is tapped for the year, so I need a bridge. Deschanel added after the pitch, "Who'd you sex last night?" Sometime later, Deschanel started shopping around an investor deck for a new entertainment company, Stampede Ventures, founded in 2018 by Greg Silverman, the former Warner Brothers production head. Stampede wanted to handle independent productions and turn them into global hits. Over the next 12 to 24 months, we are trying to make shows in 25 countries, Silverman told Variety in 2021. Deschanel started sending out a 47-page investor deck indicating that Stampede had retained Oakshott, along with a media partner, to arrange $120 million worth of financing on behalf of the company. Plus, the deck said, Stampede already had monies in the pipeline, including an adaptation of the video game Dance Dance Revolution. Target leads Channing Tatum and Zendaya. Tagline, "The world is on the brink of destruction. Only by uniting in dance can humanity be saved." A New York-based film producer one spoke to had met Deschanel a few years earlier when he was brought in as a potential partner in a major Los Angeles real estate deal. He came in and said, "I'm the Rothschild family owner buying this building," the producer recalled. Boast. The deal didn't go through, though, but they continued to run into each other at nightclubs or around Soho, often at the Israeli restaurant 19 Cleveland. The producer told me that when he needed a licensed broker-dealer partner for a potential deal earlier this year, he kicked Deschanel and Oakshott's tires. They had real licenses. That checked out, he said. The great pitch was that this is a front for the Rothschild family office. He asked what else the company was offering, and Deschanel's colleague sent along a deal sheet that included 2 separate opportunities to buy into SpaceX, opportunities in the Palantir associated defense product company Anduril, as well as a UK-based real estate technology startup called Catiro. The asks were aggressive. $50 to $60 million to get in on the HR systems unicorn Rippling, a $50 million direct transfer on TikTok developer ByteDance, an available $50 million buy on the Swedish fintech company Klarna, done through an Oakshott vehicle. Deschanel also began talks with a Toronto-based company that uses AI in the travel industry. According to a deck that was shared with Oakshott, projected revenue would skyrocket in the years to come from $1 million in 2024 to $113 million in 2027. An executive at the company, whom we'll call Patrick, said that he initiated contact with Deschanel after another New York-based investor put them in touch with Oakshott. The startup sent Deschanel their deck, gave them access to the data room, and arranged the customary NDAs. Patrick was optimistic, especially after Deschanel told him more about his family. He booked a flight to New York to meet with Deschanel at Laudray. Breakfast was like $300 or something insane, Patrick said. He recalled that Deschanel burst into negotiations like a hurricane. He always acted like he was very important. He acted like the money was irrelevant. He acted like $5 million is nothing. His disposition was consistent with other billionaires that we've had as investors in our company, Patrick said. They like it or they don't. They're very binary. Was this representative of black and white thinking? Ultimately, they couldn't come to terms. The startup was looking for $2 or $3 million, but Deschanel wanted to go in for more. They were looking to come in at a follow-on round for another $10 million in total, Patrick said. Kyle had said to me that round was too small for him. Patrick said he left the December meeting optimistic, and they stayed in touch, communicating as recently as May 2023. Then there was the Byju's deck. The India-based edtech service had been on a tear since 2016 when Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan invested $3.4 million in the company. By June 2021, the company was valued at $16.5 billion. Deschanel told people he was working directly with Anita Kishore, Byju's 33-year-old chief strategy officer, on its next funding round. He was also getting, he said, help from his sister, Gabrielle de Rothschild Deschanel, an attorney at Citadel based in Chicago. In addition to an Oakshott colleague who was leading the Byju's push, his sister was copied on several emails relating to the deal. Byju's, it's a proper deck, said Brian, the finance source, who was looking into working with him to raise funds. This is a real deck. I've seen decks before. This is a real deck. In September 2021, Oakshott reportedly clinched a deal to lead the fundraising round for Byju's Series F, which would bring in a total of $297 million. Regulatory findings with the Indian Ministry of Corporate Affairs showed that the investment was the equivalent of $160 million at the time. A leading Indian business outlet, Economic Times, mentioned Oakshott several times in a 2021 article about the deal. That December, Reuters reported that Churchill Capital founder Michael Klein, a longtime advisor to the Saudi Public Investment Fund and Aramco, was exploring a deal with Byju's to raise $4 billion to take the company public via a SPAC valuing it at $48 billion. Thus, it can be seen that Deschanel is demonstrating some financing credentials and also is portraying himself as something as a big swinging dick. But matters start to take an interesting turn with regard to how he starts to behave and the grandiosity that's associated with that. Join me in part 4 to learn more.